Close your eyes. Not to sleep, not yet, but to see differently. Let the world you know, the weight of the chair, the glow of the screen, the endless list of tomorrows, let it all soften at the edges, just for now. I am your guide. Welcome to Winds of Thought. Tonight, we begin a long and quiet journey. It is a journey that will require no luggage, no tickets, only your attention and your breath. We are going to travel to a place where time behaves differently, where the barriers between then and now, between observation and experience, become as thin as a layer of drying paint on a master's canvas. This is not a race. We will move at the speed of settling dust, at the pace of a deep and restful heartbeat. So, let us start exactly where we are. Become aware of your body in space. Feel the points of contact, your feet on the floor, your back against the support, your hands resting. Notice the weight of your limbs. There is a profound generosity in this simple act of being held up. The ground, the floor, the furniture, they offer their strength so that you may release your own. And beneath all of that, the ancient, patient planet turns, an anchor in the cosmos, holding you safely in its gravitational embrace. You are supported. You are safe. Now, draw your attention inward, to the river of your breath. Do not try to steer it. Simply observe its natural flow. The cool inhale, the warm exhale. Think of your breath as a gentle brush, painting calmness across the canvas of your body with each cycle. In and out. With every release, imagine a color, a soft, soothing blue or a forgiving gray, washing through you, dissolving the sharp lines of tension. Feel it in your scalp, your forehead, the tiny muscles around your eyes. Let the brush stroke of your breath sweep down your neck, over your shoulders, unknotting the tangled wires of the day. Let it flow down your arms to your fingertips, carrying away any residual energy you've been holding. Let it pull in your chest, softening the chamber of your heart, then continue down through your torso, your legs, all the way to the soles of your feet, connecting you back to that steady, supportive earth. We are creating a space within you. A gallery of inner quiet. And into this gallery, we will gently usher the day's thoughts. See them not as intruders, but as visitors. Each worry, each memory, each fleeting plan, acknowledge it. Give it a nod. Then, imagine placing it on a small, velvet cushion and setting it on a shelf along the wall. There is room for all of them. You do not need to solve them now. You are simply giving them a temporary home, so the main floor of your mind is clear. Watch as the shelves fill, and the central space becomes empty, quiet, and waiting. This quiet is not an emptiness. It is a fertile ground. It is the blank page, the primed canvas. From this quiet, imagination grows not as a wild, untamed vine, but as a deliberate and beautiful root system, seeking connection. We will feed it with intention. Now, in this cleared space, begin to construct a doorway. Don't force the image, let it form from the shadows and the light behind your closed eyelids. It is a tall, arched door made of aged, dark oak. Its surface is worn smooth by time and countless hands. There is a heavy, iron ring for a handle, cool to the touch. This door stands alone, in your quiet, against a backdrop of soft, neutral mist. This is your private entrance. When you are ready, in your mind, reach out and take that iron ring. Feel its surprising weight, its solid reality. With a gentle pull, the door swings inward without a sound. On the other side is not another room, but a transition. A corridor of soft, golden light. You step through, and the door closes silently behind you, leaving the shelves of thoughts in peaceful custody. You are in the corridor now. The air is different here, cool, slightly dry, carrying the faint, clean scent of stone, of old paper, of beeswax polish. It is the smell of preserved time. The light comes from unseen sconces, warm and dim. Your footsteps, though you are walking, make no sound on the smooth, stone floor. The corridor slopes gently upward. You walk without hurry, your hands perhaps brushing the cool wall. With each step, the ambient sounds of your own world fade, replaced by a profound, respectful silence. It is a silence so deep you can hear the blood singing in your own ears, the rhythm syncing with your heart. You walk for a minute, or perhaps an hour, time is already beginning to stretch and bend in this place. Ahead, the corridor ends at another archway, larger and grander than your personal door. A murmur of space, of vastness, comes from beyond it. You pause at the threshold. You are standing at the entrance to the central hall of the National Gallery in London. Before you, the space opens into a breathtaking volume. Soaring ceilings, supported by columns, are lost in shadowy heights. The floor is a geometric pattern of polished stone, stretching into the distance. The light here is a soft, diffused glow, falling from majestic skylights far above, now dark with evening, but illuminated artificially in a way that mimics a perpetual, gentle twilight. And along every wall, in heavy, gilded frames, are the paintings. From here, they are patches of color, stories waiting at a distance. The hall is not empty, but it is hushed. A few other visitors move like slow, quiet fish in a deep ocean, their whispers absorbed by the immense space. The air feels sacred, a temple to human vision and emotion made tangible. Take your first step inside. Feel the change in atmosphere, the shift from the intimate corridor to this public, yet deeply private, cathedral of art. We are not going to linger here long tonight. We have a specific destination. But allow yourself a moment to absorb the feeling. Look up at the vaulted ceiling. Look down the long vistas to your left and right, where doorways lead to other rooms, other worlds. Breathe in the history, the collective gaze of millions who have stood here, seeking beauty, solace, or understanding. Now, turn to your right. We are going to a specific wing. Walk slowly, passing the majestic portraits of another age. The faces of nobles and merchants, saints and angels, watch you pass with timeless eyes. Their stories are not ours tonight. We move through a series of interconnected rooms, each with its own character. The colors of the artworks change the very quality of the light. A room of dark, dramatic Caravaggios feels somber and charged, a room of pastel-hued Renoirs feels light and airy. Finally, you arrive at the entrance to room 40. A simple, elegant plaque bears the number. This room is different. It feels quieter, more focused. The walls are a deep, neutral gray, making the paintings upon them glow like windows into other realities. The air is still. As you cross the threshold, you feel a subtle change, a drop in temperature, perhaps, or a deepening of the silence, as if this room is holding its breath. And there, on the far wall, slightly to the right, is the reason we have come. It is not the largest painting in the room, but it commands attention. From across the space, it is a whirlpool of light and mist. A chaos resolved into perfect harmony. Your eyes are drawn to it instinctively. This is J.M.W. Turner's Rain, Steam, and Speed, the Great Western Railway. For now, stay at the back of the room. Do not approach yet. Let us observe it from afar, as one might watch the sea from a cliff. What do you see? A golden blur, a tumult of weather and motion. It is a storm of paint that somehow conveys not confusion, but a profound, rushing truth. Can you feel the vibration of it, even from here? A low, humming energy of transformation, of the old world being shattered by the new, captured in oil and light. This is where our journey truly begins. But the journey into the painting is not one of haste. It is a journey of incremental approach, of patient unraveling. We will move closer, step by step, in the next part of our story. For now, settle into the stillness of room 40. Let the distant, swirling promise of that storm on the wall be your focal point. Your breathing is slow, your body is heavy and relaxed. The quiet of the gallery is your blanket. We will continue when you are ready. I will be here, guiding you. For now, rest in this anticipatory peace. The doorway to the storm is ahead, and it is open. But a good traveler knows that the approach is as important as the arrival. So we pause. We breathe. And we prepare to step closer, in mind and spirit, to the edge of the canvas, where the paint is still wet and the rain is about to fall. Welcome back. Let your breathing find its slow, tidal rhythm once more. Feel the solidity of the floor beneath you in the quiet of room 40. The golden storm on the wall awaits our attention. There is no need to rush. True seeing is a slow sacrament. So, let us begin our approach. In your mind's eye, take one gentle step forward. Then another. You are moving from the periphery of the room toward the heart of it, toward Turner's vision. As you move, notice how the painting changes. From a distance, it was a unified impression of atmosphere, a single, powerful exhalation of genius. Now, as you close the gap, it begins to separate into its constituent parts. The blur resolves, not into sharp lines, but into distinct realms of energy. First, the bridge. It emerges from the swirling gold and gray like the spine of a great, submerged creature. The Maidenhead Railway Bridge, a feat of modern engineering in its day, rendered by Turner not as a rigid structure of stone and iron, but as a dark, sweeping curve that seems to vibrate with the force it carries. It cuts diagonally across the lower portion of the canvas, a decisive anchor in the chaos. Can you see how the paint is applied there? Thick, impasto strokes of umber and black, scraped and dragged with a palette knife, giving it a rugged, tangible presence. It does not look new. It looks weathered, tested, integral to the landscape. Now, let your gaze lift. There, above the bridge, materializing from a vortex of mist and gleaming haze, is the train. It is not a detailed locomotive as a technical drawing would show. It is the essence of a train. A ghost of speed. A dark, rushing form, its edges bleeding into the storm around it. The smokestack is a mere suggestion, belching a plume that is indistinguishable from the rain-charged clouds. This is not a machine depicted, it is the sensation of mechanical power captured, the thrilling, terrifying force of it hurtling into the future. What does that blur of black and ochre feel like to you? Is it exciting? Daunting? Awe-inspiring? Sit with that feeling for a moment. And the rain. Look at the rain. Turner did not paint individual drops. He painted the wind itself. He painted the downward slant of a downpour. With swift, sure strokes of a brush loaded with translucent gray and white, he dragged color across the canvas, creating a shimmering, diagonal curtain that envelopes everything. It falls at a relentless angle, connecting sky to river, stitching the composition together with threads of weather. If you soften your eyes slightly, the whole scene seems to be moving, sliding along those rainy tracks toward you. Take another step closer. You are now standing at what would be the perfect viewing distance for most visitors. The frame is a simple boundary of gilt, but it feels increasingly insufficient, like a dam trying to hold back a river of sensation. From here, the details within the blur begin to whisper their secrets. Look to the left of the train. See the faintest hint of land? A blur of green and brown, almost swallowed by the mist. Turner included it, not as a primary subject, but as a necessary whisper, a reminder of the enduring earth that pre-exists and will outlast both train and storm. It is an anchor of the ancient world in this vision of the new. Now, direct your attention downward, to where the bridge meets the water. The River Thames. He hasn't painted the water with reflective clarity. He has painted its movement. Swirls of muted gold, gray, and slate blue churn beneath the bridge. The reflection of the structure is broken, distorted by the wind and rain, existing as impressionistic dabs of darker paint. You cannot see the bottom, but you can feel the river's deep, cold, powerful flow. It is a counter-rhythm to the train's linear rush. And here, a tiny marvel. On the bridge itself, just to the right of the onrushing train's path, is a minute, dark dash of paint. A hare. A small, wild creature caught in this monumental clash of elements. Is it running? Frozen? The story goes that it is racing the locomotive, a fragile pulse of life against the engine of industry. Turner placed it there. A question, not a statement. A heartbeat in the machine. Let us engage the other senses. The gallery is silent, but can you hear the painting? Not with your ears, but with your imagination. What is the sound contained within those brush strokes? Perhaps it is the low, thunderous rumble of the train vibrating through the iron bridge. The relentless, soothing hiss of the rain. The howl of the wind funneling down the river valley. The distant, mournful cry of the train's whistle, muffled by the wet air. Let that symphony of imagined sound fill your mind. Can you feel the temperature? The air in room 40 is climate-controlled, constant. But the air in the painting is cool and damp. A chill, laden with moisture. You can almost feel it on your skin, a freshness that is both invigorating and penetrating. Now, take one more step forward. You are now closer than any museum guard would typically allow. You are near enough to see the texture, the fingerprint of the artist's process. See how the layers of paint are built up? Some areas are thin washes, like stained water. Others are thick ridges of pigment, applied with a fierce energy. In the center, where the light glows hottest, the paint is almost sculptural. You can see the grooves of the brush hairs, the accidental flecks, the gritty texture of the pigments themselves. This is no longer just an image, it is a physical record of a man's passionate effort on a specific day over a century and a half ago. This close, the illusion of a scene starts to break down into its beautiful, abstract components. The train becomes a thrilling collision of dark shapes. The rain becomes elegant, rhythmic marks. The light becomes a smeared explosion of cream and yellow. And in this abstract space, a new kind of magic becomes possible. The boundary between the world of the gallery and the world of the painting feels thin. The gilded frame seems less a border and more a window sill. Softly, gently, let your gaze lose its focus. Let the details melt back into that original, unified impression of motion and light. But this time, you are not viewing it from across the room. You are on its threshold. Breathe in. As you exhale, imagine that the cool, damp air you associated with the painting is no longer just an idea. It is a slight, real sensation on your cheeks and forehead. A subtle, impossible breeze, carrying the petrichor scent of rain on stone and the faint, oily scent of linseed, touches your face. It is the whisper of a change. Don't question it. Simply observe it, as you observed your thoughts earlier. It is a detail in the experience. Look at the painted rain. The diagonal strokes seem, for a fleeting second, to shimmer. Not a trick of the gallery lights, but a suggestion of movement within the stillness. It is as if you are seeing the vibration of each falling droplet, 1,000 suspended moments captured at once. The sound in your mind grows slightly louder, more present. The hiss of the rain becomes a tangible whisper in the quiet room. The deep, rhythmic chug of the train becomes a faint, felt vibration through the soles of your feet. The gallery's perfect silence is being gently, patiently infiltrated by the weather from the wall. This is the moment of choice, though it feels like no choice at all. It feels like a natural leaning in, a final step in a dance that began the moment you closed your eyes. The frame of the painting, from this intimate distance, no longer contains the image. It simply marks where one reality yields to another. You feel a slight, vertiginous pull, not of fear, but of profound attraction. The cool, damp breeze strengthens, gently lifting the hair from your temple. The scent of the storm, wet earth, hot iron, coal smoke, is unmistakable now, overlaying the gallery's beeswax. The sound of the rain is a steady, soothing static, and beneath it, the deep, metallic thrum of the great bridge holding its ground. Your hand, of its own volition, rises slightly. You are not reaching for the painting. You are reaching toward the space it depicts. And as your fingers approach the surface of the canvas, something extraordinary happens. The paint doesn't feel like dry, cracked varnish. It feels charged, humid, alive. A faint, cool moisture kisses your fingertips. The thick ridges of impasto light feel warm, as if retaining a memory of the sun that fought through that storm long ago. Then, the most profound shift. The solid wall behind the painting seems to dissolve. Not visually, but in your spatial understanding. The barrier simply ceases to be a barrier. The stone of the gallery wall and the stone of the bridge's arch become one and the same. The polished floor beneath your feet grinds subtly, its texture coarsening to gritty, damp stone. You are not falling. You are transitioning. The world around you, the gray walls of room 40, the other paintings, the discreet plaques, all of it fades, not to black, but to mist. A gentle, golden gray mist that swirls tenderly around you, obscuring the past and revealing the present. And then, the mist settles. You are standing on solid ground. But it is not the smooth, level floor of the National Gallery. It is uneven, gritty, damp stone. You are under an archway, a great curve of brick and masonry that shelters you from the open sky. Before you, through the grand opening of the arch, is the bridge itself, stretching away into the stormy distance. And on that bridge, the dark, roaring form of the steam train is charging toward you, not as a silent image, but as a living, breathing, shuddering titan of sound and force. The rain is real. It falls in a silvery, continuous sheet just beyond the lip of your shelter, painting the world in streaks of moving light and shadow. You are dry. You are safe. Turner, in his infinite wisdom, always left a patch of shelter for the observing soul. You have crossed over. The air is alive, cold, and exhilarating. The noise is a magnificent roar, the crash of wheels on iron, the shriek of the steam whistle, the symphony of the storm. You are inside the painting. And as the immense reality of it floods your senses, you realize you are not alone here in this sheltered arch. There is a presence beside you, a silhouette against the bright chaos of the storm. But that meeting belongs to the next part of our journey. For now, stand in your shelter. Feel the cool, damp stone under your hand. Watch the awe-inspiring spectacle of the train thundering past, its details lost in speed and spray, a magnificent blur of power. Listen to the rain's endless song. Breathe the wild, electric air. You have arrived. Rest here, in the heart of the masterpiece, and simply be. We will proceed when you are ready to meet the soul who conjured this world from paint and passion. Welcome back to the shelter of the arch. The train's thunder is receding now, a deep, rhythmic percussion fading down the iron line, swallowed by the hissing rain and mist. In its wake, the storm's own voice returns to the forefront, the constant, soothing sibilance of rain on stone, on iron, on the rushing river below. The air, thick with moisture, feels clean and charged in your lungs. You are here. Fully, completely here. Now, turn your attention to the presence beside you. You felt it as you arrived, a solid, watchful energy occupying the same pocket of stillness. Slowly, without urgency, you shift your gaze from the glorious chaos outside your shelter to the shadows of the archway itself. He is standing a few feet away, leaning slightly against the cold brick, his profile etched against the bright gray light of the storm. A man of late middle age, broad-shouldered in a practical, worn coat darkened at the shoulders by old rain and sprinkled with 100 dried paint stains, flecks of ochre, smudges of ultramarine, streaks of lead white. His hair, a wild corona of white and gray, is tousled by the same wind that drives the rain. He holds a small, wooden palette in one hand, laden with buttery mounds of color that look impossibly rich and vibrant, and a few well-used brushes in the other. He is not painting. He is observing. His eyes, narrowed and intensely focused, track the movement of the clouds, the shift of light on the wet tracks, the way the rain curves over the bridge's railing. For a long moment, he says nothing. The silence between you is comfortable, filled only by the weather. It is the silence of two people sharing a profound observation, needing no words to acknowledge its power. Then, without looking at you, he speaks. His voice is not what you might expect. It is low, rasped by London fog and perhaps too much tobacco, but it carries a warmth, a rumble like distant thunder. It never does the same thing twice, you know. He pauses, letting the truth of that statement settle alongside the sound of the rain. Look at it, he says, finally tilting his head toward the scene. His eyes remain fixed on the middle distance where the train vanished. The water on the tracks. A moment ago, it was shaken into a million jumping diamonds by that beast. Now, it's smoothing out, becoming a mirror for the sky again. But a broken mirror. A better mirror for that. He gestures vaguely upward with his chin. The light is changing. Can you see it? The sun is fighting a war back there behind those clouds, and it's losing beautifully. He falls silent again, his keen eyes missing nothing. A gust of wind hurries a spray of droplets into your shelter. They mist your face, cool and startling. The man, Turner, doesn't flinch. A faint smile touches the corner of his mouth. Don't mind the wet. It's the paint of the Real. Without it, everything is just dry information. Finally, he turns to look at you. His face is lined, weathered like the cliffs he loved to paint, but his eyes are a startling, youthful blue, sharp and alight with fierce intelligence and curiosity. There is no surprise in his gaze, only a deep, assessing acknowledgement. He looks at you as he looks at the storm, as a fascinating phenomenon to be understood. You stayed, he says simply, and it sounds like both a question and a commendation. Most people, they glance. They see a mess of weather and a blur of a train. They name it rain, steam, and speed, and they feel they have captured it. They walk on. But you, he takes a small step closer, not intruding, but including you in his observational circle. You looked for the and. The and is where everything lives. The space between the rain and the steam. The tension between the speed and the solid bridge. The conversation between the man-made machine and the ancient river. You were looking for the and. That's why you're here. He turns back to the view, lifting his palette slightly as if comparing its colors to the world. They think I'm painting a train. I'm not. I'm painting the moment the train passed. I'm painting the echo of its power in the air, the disturbance it leaves in the weather, the memory of its noise in the rain's pattern. The train itself is already gone. He points with the handle of a brush to the empty track where the locomotive had been. What remains is the effect. The emotion. That's the truth of any moment, isn't it? Not the solid thing, but the effect it has on the light, the air, on you. He gestures for you to come a little closer to the edge of the shelter. Come. Stand here. You're safe from the worst of it. You move to stand beside him, near the threshold where dry stone meets glistening wet. The spectacle is overwhelming. The bridge stretches away, its iron girders a dark latticework against the luminous gray sky. The rain is a living entity, a billion silver threads weaving the world together. Listen, he instructs, closing his eyes. Not just to the rain. Listen through it. What do you hear? You listen. At first, it is a uniform hiss. But as you focus, it separates. There is the higher, lighter patter on the iron rail. The deeper, percussive drumming on the wooden ties. The steady, hollow gurgle of water running down drain pipes on the bridge's pillars. And beneath it all, the mighty, low, watery sigh of the River Thames, flowing eternally towards the sea. A symphony, Turner murmurs, his eyes still closed. Chaos to the inattentive ear. But a perfect, complex harmony to the patient listener. My job, he opens his eyes and looks at his brushes, is to try and paint that symphony. Not the instruments, but the sound. He points his brush toward the river below. See how the water doesn't reflect the sky? It devours it, churns it, turns it into something else, a kind of liquid, moving earth. That brown gold there, he indicates a swirling eddy, that's not the color of mud. That's the color of light filtered through Thames water and storm cloud. It's a new color. I had to invent it on my palette. He shows you a corresponding smudge of dirty yellow and umber on his board. They call it mud. I call it captured thunder light. A question forms in your mind, and as if sensing it, he nods. You're wondering about the hair. He smiles, a genuine, crinkling expression that transforms his face. The little pacemaker. Yes. Some say it's racing the train. A quaint notion. Perhaps it is. Or perhaps it is simply there. A piece of the old, wild world that does not care about our bridges or our engines. It has its own business, its own speed, its own destiny that intersects, just for a heartbeat, with ours. It's a necessary contradiction. A flaw in the machine's narrative. Without it, the painting is just a report. With it, he shrugs, with it, the painting is a question. He is quiet for a time, watching the storm perform its endless dance. Then he speaks again, more softly, almost to himself. I've spent a lifetime being accused of seeing things that aren't there. But they're wrong. I see what is always there, but is too bright, too fast, too beautiful for most to hold in their eyes. They want the world to stand still and pose for its portrait. But the world, he says, his voice swelling slightly with passion, the world is a verb. It is raining. It is speeding. It is shining. I paint the verbs. He turns to you, his intense eyes locking with yours. That is what you stepped into. Not a noun, a painting. You stepped into a verb. You stepped into storming. Do you feel it? You do. You feel the action, the relentless, beautiful process of the world happening around you. The falling, the flowing, the blowing, the gleaming. You are not in a static scene, you are inside an event. Good, he says, seeing the understanding in your face. Then you are seeing with the right eyes. He looks back at his palette, then out at the world, comparing. He dips a brush into a pool of luminous gray-white, mixes it thoughtfully with a touch of gold. He doesn't paint on a canvas, there is none here. Instead, he makes a gentle, decisive stroke in the air before him, as if adjusting reality itself. Where the brush passes, the light seems to shift and coalesce, a tiny patch of mist glowing more brightly for a second before blending back into the whole. The light is the real subject, he says, working the air with soft, sure strokes. Always. The train is just something for the light to break against. The bridge is just a ledge for the light to fall from. The rain is the brush that spreads the light across the entire sky. He lowers his brush, satisfied with some unseen adjustment. They ask me, Mr. Turner, what is your painting about? I tell them it is about the glory of the sun struggling through a wet atmosphere. They think I'm being difficult. I am being plain. A companionable silence falls again, longer this time. You stand together, artist and observer, within the living heart of his creation. The experience shifts from awe to a deep, profound familiarity. This is his workplace. This roaring, soaking, magnificent chaos is his studio. And he has, for reasons known only to him, invited you in. As if hearing your thought, he speaks once more, his voice now gentle, introspective. Not everyone finds the door. The door isn't in the gallery. It's in the way of looking. A certain slowness. A willingness to be confused, to be dazzled, to let the eyes soften. You possessed that. So the door opened. He looks down at the brush in his hand, then at you. A decision seems to crystallize in his gaze. A visitor to the studio should not leave empty-handed, he says, almost to himself. He reaches not for his palette, but into the inner pocket of his paint-stained coat. Your breath catches, not in fear, but in anticipation. The storm continues its opera around you, but in this sheltered arch, time seems to bend and pull, waiting for his next move. His hand emerges from the coat, not with a sketch or a tool, but with a single, well-used paintbrush. It is slender, its handle dark and smooth from years of use, stained by countless pigments ground into the grain of the wood. The ferrule is slightly tarnished, and the bristles are worn to a precise, soft point. This is not a dramatic object. It is a workman's tool, an extension of the hand that holds it, infused with the quiet history of 10,000 considered strokes. He holds it lightly between his thumb and forefinger, turning it so it catches the muted storm light. This one, he says, his voice a low rumble of affection, has seen more weather than most sailors. Mixed the gray of a North Sea gale. Caught the last of the setting sun on a Venetian lagoon. And now, this. He gestures with it toward the rain-lashed bridge. It has helped me chase the light here, in this specific quarrel between steam and cloud. He turns to you fully, his intense blue eyes holding yours. There is no solemnity in his gaze, but a profound seriousness. I would like you to have it. He doesn't extend it immediately. He lets the offer hang in the damp air, alongside the sound of the rain. It is an offer weighted with meaning, and he is ensuring you feel the weight. It is not a magic wand, he clarifies, a flicker of amusement in his eyes. It will not make you a painter. But it is a key of a different kind. A reminder. A teacher. He steps closer, his presence solid and real. Hold it, and you hold a question. What am I seeing that others rush past? Hold it, and remember that the world is not made of objects, but of vibrations, of edges where things meet and change each other. Hold it, and remember this arch, this storm, this moment of seeing. Finally, he reaches out and, with a gesture of surprising gentleness, places the brush horizontally across your open palm. The wood is warm from his pocket, and it rests there with a tangible, comforting weight. It feels alive, a sliver of charged history. Most people go through life with their eyes focused on the destination, Turner says, watching you receive the gift. They look at a bridge and see a way to cross. They look at a train and see a means to travel. They look at rain and see an inconvenience. They see the nouns. But the world is made of the spaces between the nouns. The shimmer on the wet rail. The echo in the arch. The breath of wind between the raindrops. That is where the poetry is. That is where the truth hides, in plain sight. He nods toward the brush in your hand. Let this remind you to look for the spaces between. To value the blur. To honor the glimpse. To be unafraid of the storm, because the storm is where the light reveals its true character. You close your fingers around the brush. It feels like a covenant. A silent promise to see more deeply. Turner seems to relax then, as if a necessary task has been completed. He turns back to lean against the brick, his gaze drifting out to his eternal, ever-changing subject. It is beginning to shift, he notes, squinting. The wind is coming more from the east now. See how the rain is starting to rake across the bridge at a new angle? And the light, there, a thinner patch in the clouds. In a few minutes, a shaft of sun will break through and turn that entire sheet of rain into a curtain of diamonds. It will last for 15 seconds. Then it will be gone. That is what I live for. Those 15 seconds. He falls into a watching silence, and you stand beside him, the brush secure in your hand, sharing in the observation. You watch as he predicted, the wind does indeed pivot, the diagonal streaks of rain slowly rotating like the hands of a vast, celestial clock. The gloom lightens imperceptibly at first, then with growing confidence. The gray palette of the world begins to warm, hints of gold and cream bleeding into the mist. And then, it happens. A rent opens in the cloud cover, not a clear blue gap, but a thinner, brighter veil. A single, powerful beam of sunlight, diffused and shattered by millions of falling droplets, plunges down to strike the middle of the bridge. Instantly, the scene is transformed. The rain is no longer gray silk, it is a blazing, shimmering veil of incandescent silver. The wet iron tracks gleam like molten metal. The steam and mist hanging in the air glow with an ethereal, internal radiance. It is so dazzlingly beautiful it hurts to look at, and yet you cannot look away. Turner lets out a soft, satisfied sigh. There, he whispers. There it is. The verb made visible. To glorify. For exactly those 15 seconds, the world is a cathedral of light. Then, as if a lens cap has been closed, the thick clouds march back over the sun's path, and the brilliant spectacle dims back into the magnificent, moody gloom. The ordinary miracle resumes. It's enough, Turner says, pushing himself away from the wall. He seems different now, more settled, as if the glimpse of sun has fulfilled something in him. You have a journey to continue, and so do I. My light is fading with the day, and yours. He looks at you, and for the first time, you see a faint trace of melancholy in his eyes, the melancholy of a man who knows he is a temporary phenomenon in a permanent storm. Yours is waiting for you in another kind of gallery. He gestures with his palette toward the world beyond the arch. You know the way back. You don't need me to show you. The path is made of attention. You followed your attention here. Now follow it back. But carry what you've seen. Carry the verb. He gives you one last, long look, a look that seems to imprint his face, his philosophy, this very moment, into your memory. Then he offers the smallest of nods, a gesture of farewell, respect, and release. Without another word, he turns and walks to the very edge of the shelter, where the stone was dry and now is damp with fresh spray. He doesn't look back. He simply steps out into the falling rain. But he does not get wet. The downpour, which moments before was a solid sheet, seems to part for him, the droplets bending around his form as if he is wrapped in a bubble of calm air. He becomes a silhouette, then a shadow, then a smudge of darker gray against the gray bridge. With each step, his figure becomes less distinct, blending with the mist and the spray, his form dissolving into the very atmosphere he loved to paint. In a few heartbeats, he is gone. Not vanished, but absorbed. He has returned to the elements of his masterpiece. You are alone in the archway. But you do not feel abandoned. You feel full. The roar of the storm is a lullaby now. The brush in your hand is a compass. He said you knew the way back. You close your eyes, shutting out the overwhelming sensory input of the storm. You focus inward, on the feeling of the tool in your hand, on the memory of the gallery's quiet, on the sensation of the polished floor beneath your shoes. You think of the word and. Rain and steam. Speed and stillness. Gallery and storm. You take a deep breath of the cold, wet air, holding the scent of ozone and iron as a keepsake. Then, you exhale slowly, and with the exhale, you release your grip on the scene. Not forcefully, but willingly, like opening a hand to let a bird fly. As you do, the sounds begin to change. The colossal hiss of the rain softens, becoming more distant, more like a recording. The deep vibration of the river fades to a hum, then to silence. The chill, damp air on your skin warms by subtle degrees, becoming the neutral, climate-controlled atmosphere of a preserved space. You feel the texture under your feet transmute. The gritty, uneven, wet stone smooths out, becomes level, becomes polished wood. The scent of the storm is gently overlaid, then replaced, by the faint, familiar odors of beeswax and dust. You keep your eyes closed, holding the transition gently. When the shift in your senses feels complete, when the last echo of thunder is just a memory in your blood, you open your eyes. You are standing in room 40 of the National Gallery. The parquet floor is sleek and shining under your feet. The walls are a calm gray. Ahead of you, on the wall, is Turner's Rain, Steam, and Speed. It is static. A masterpiece frozen under glass. The rain does not fall. The train does not move. The light does not shift. It is breathtakingly beautiful, but it is a noun again. A painting. A soft murmur to your left draws your attention. A small tour group is gathered a few yards away, a guide speaking in hushed, scholarly tones about composition and the Industrial Revolution. No one looks at you. No one noticed your absence, because in their timeline, you never left. You simply stood, transfixed, for a long minute. The ordinary world has reassembled itself around you with flawless precision. But you are different. The air in your lungs still feels charged. Your skin remembers the mist. Your ears ring with a sublime quiet that is the ghost of the storm's roar. And in your hand, your fingers are curled tightly, protectively, around something slender and solid. A jolt of quiet electricity passes through you. Slowly, carefully, you open your fist. There, lying across your palm, is Turner's paintbrush. The worn handle, the stained ferrule, the pointed bristles. It is here. It is real. It did not dissolve with the dream. It is a physical artifact from a world of verbs, now resting quietly in your noun-filled world. A surge of emotion, wonder, gratitude, disorientation, washes over you. You close your hand around it again, feeling its undeniable reality. It is your proof. Not proof for anyone else, but for you. A secret made solid. The tour group begins to drift toward the next room. You should follow. You should move on. But you take one last, long look at the painting. You see it with new eyes. You no longer just see the image, you feel the memory of the temperature, you hear the ghost of the symphony, you sense the profound philosophical struggle between light and weather. You see the and. You see the door, though it is now closed. With a final, deep breath, you turn. You slip the brush into your pocket. It settles against your leg, a warm, hidden weight. You walk out of room 40, through the grand halls, past the silent saints and the serene landscapes, your footsteps echoing softly in the vast, quiet space. You are a walking secret. You push open the heavy main door and step out into the London evening. And you stop. It is raining. A gentle, persistent, London rain. Not Turner's mythic, elemental downpour, but a real, modern drizzle, painting the pavement dark, making the black cabs shine under the streetlights. People are opening umbrellas, flipping up hoods, darting for cover. You stand under the portico of the gallery, sheltered by the great stone arch. You watch the rain fall on Trafalgar Square. You watch the droplets gather and run in tiny rivers over the stone lions. You listen to its soft, familiar patter. It is the same rain, and it is an entirely different rain. You reach into your pocket. Your fingers find the smooth wood of the brush. You don't take it out. You simply hold it, there in the dark. Then, with a calm you have never quite known before, you step out from the shelter, into the gentle fall of the evening rain. You don't hurry. You feel the cool drops on your hair, your face, your coat. They are real. They are connected to every drop that has ever fallen, in every storm, on every bridge, in every painting. You carry a piece of the storm within you. And as you walk into the glistening city, you understand that the journey is not ending. It is just changing form. The final part is not a return, but an integration. But that is a story for the final moments of our time together. The city rain continues its gentle descent, a soft percussion on shoulders and pavements, a liquid whisper in the darkening air. You walk, and with each step, the two worlds within you, the roaring, painted storm and the quiet, real drizzle, begin to weave together. They are not separate anymore. The memory of the archway is a steady warmth in your mind, and the feel of the brush in your pocket is a grounding truth against your thigh. You are a bridge between wonders. Let's find a place to pause this outer journey, so the inner one can settle. Perhaps you are home now, or still traveling in your mind. Wherever you are, let your body find its rest once more. Settle into your chair, or sink deeper into your bed. The day's remaining tensions, the echoes of travel, the lingering excitement of your encounter, acknowledge them all, and then, as you did in the very beginning, imagine placing them on those quiet, velvet shelves in your inner gallery. There is plenty of room. Let the central space within you become clear and calm again. Now, bring your attention back to your breath. It has been with you through it all, the calm of the gallery, the chill of the storm, the return to the familiar. It is your constant companion. Follow its rhythm. In and out. With each inhale, draw in a sense of deep peace earned from profound experience. With each exhale, release any final fragments of disbelief or disorientation. What happened was real in the way that matters most. It changed your perception. Feel the weight of your body, fully supported once again. Feel the brush in your pocket, or if you've placed it aside, feel its memory as a gentle pressure against your mind. It is more than an object, it is an idea made solid. An idea about attention, about depth, about the beautiful, fleeting verbs that compose our reality. Let your mind drift back, not with effort, but like a leaf on a slow stream, to the key moments. The first sight of the painting from across the room, a golden chaos. The slow approach, where details emerged from the blur, the bridge, the spectral train, the diagonal rain. The moment the cool breeze first touched your face in the gallery, the scent of the storm breaching the frame. The solid, gritty stone of the arch under your feet. The formidable, kind presence of Turner beside you, his words not about paint, but about seeing. The impossible, glorious 15 seconds of sun through rain. The gift, placed in your hand with such intention. The dissolution back into the quiet world, and the miraculous solidity of the proof in your fist. You have been to a rare place. A place where genius lingers in the very atmosphere it depicted. You stood with a giant, not as a student, but as a fellow observer, and he saw in you a quality he valued, the capacity to linger, to look for the and. This experience is now a part of your inner landscape. A new room in the gallery of yourself. You can return to it any time, in the quiet behind your eyes. The door is not locked. It opens with a certain quality of attention, a softened gaze, a patient heart, a willingness to be immersed in the feeling of a moment rather than just its facts. Feel now how this integration settles into your being. It is not a loud knowledge, but a quiet resonance. A deep down knowing that the world is more layered, more luminous, more alive with meaning than you usually perceive. That a storm can be a place of shelter. That speed can be a form of peace. That an object given in a dream can anchor you more firmly in reality. Now, let us very gently begin to release the specific images. Let the face of Turner soften at the edges, becoming less a portrait and more a feeling of creative passion. Let the great iron bridge become a simple curve of protection in your memory. Let the roaring train fade to a pleasant vibration, a hum of potential. Let the dazzling rain slowly transform into a uniform, soothing, gray-silver light that fills your mind's eye with peace. All that remains is the essence, a profound calm, a deepened perspective, and a gentle, thrilling awe at the beauty and depth of existence. This is the treasure you bring back. This is the true gift. Bring your awareness, one final time, to your body. Start at the crown of your head. Feel a wave of heavy, warm relaxation cascade down, like a blanket of quiet falling through you. Over your forehead, your eyes, your cheeks, your jaw, all soft, all still. Down your neck, your shoulders, your arms, to the very tips of your fingers. Your chest rises and falls with the effortless tide of breath. Your heartbeat is a slow, reassuring drum in the darkness. Down through your torso, your hips, your legs, all the way to your feet. You are deeply, completely, and safely relaxed. The story is over, but the feeling remains. The brush, whether literal or remembered, is yours. The way of seeing is yours. You are here, in your own room, in your own night. The external journey is complete. The internal one, the lifelong practice of seeing the verbs, honoring the blur, finding shelter in storms, that is just beginning. But for now, there is only rest. Let my voice fade from your attention, like the guide's voice fading in the gallery, leaving you alone with the masterpiece of your own peaceful awareness. The silence that follows is not empty, it is filled with everything you've experienced, distilled into perfect quiet. You are ready to sleep. You are already drifting. Let the gentle tide of your own breath carry you the rest of the way into deep, restorative, and dream-filled peace. Good night.